What is up, guys? Live here at Pro Play Games with myself, Machado, from the sponsored Ultra Pro team, Pro Play Games. As you guys know, this weekend it is the time to duke it out. It is ARG Dragon Ball Super Regionals number 2. As you guys know, we took ARG Hartford Dragon Ball Super Regional number 1 a few weeks ago under the wings of Alejandro Mena and David Rodriguez, getting first and third. So completely dominating that event. We're super proud of them. Like we said, we only had 3 representatives at that event, and they were able to take it. So super proud of them. But now it's Florida's time to shine. It's the first ARG Super Regional here in Florida, and we're super excited. We've been testing this whole week. Now, there's a few things that everybody wants to know leading up to the event, as far as like what leaders to look out for, what are going to be the breakout cards. Now, I have a few here to profile, apart from the obvious, of course. Now, some of the leaders that you might want to lead up to going to this event, and the ones that we've been testing against and seeing the most, I guess, powerful results from. Of course, you're going to see a lot of variance out in the field, especially when you have 200, 300, it might even hit 400 players for this event. Not sure what Jim has capped it out to, but seeing from the attendance at Hartford, and it was like the first regional, that one hit like 230. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes the largest regional for Dragon Ball Super ever at this point. So I think Las Vegas might be capped off with space, so it might not be as big. But I know this convention center myself, because we've been there plenty of times. This is usually the convention center used for all the Florida events, including for other games like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. But so it might be the largest one, but we'll see. Only time will tell. But I know the Dragon Ball Super community in Florida is one of the largest, and that kind of attributes to why our players usually show out the strongest at a lot of these large events. Even in Hartford, there was a lot of North Florida players, and we really expect everybody from South Florida now to be representing us up there. So we've been getting our squad together, as well as other locals to come out and really shine at this event. So without further ado, I'm gonna go and talk about some of the leaders that you're probably going to be, you want to be prepared for, no matter what deck you're going with. We haven't really decided on what leader is strictly the best. Every leader has its pros and its cons. There's things that, it faces as weaknesses, and there's some things that really shine as something that really gives them an advantage over other rulers. So let's go with the first and obvious, Cell. Cell, of course, one of the leading leaders in this game. This is what we use to take down the first regional in Hartford with. It's a very powerful leader. It has the ability to remove any type of removal on one side, on the first unawakened side, dealing with the pesky threats that are 3 or lower, like Android 16, Gotenks, and stuff like that. As well as being a leader that is an Android, so you can play things that you can only play if your leader is an Android, such as Perfect Cell over here. Perfect Cell, obviously one of the most feared cards in the game, and it's something that everybody's deck, if you're not going into this event expecting to play this at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times, then you shouldn't be prepared to do very well if you're not set to be able to answer this guy, whether it be cold bloodlusting it, so that the effect of making your hand go down to 3 doesn't affect you, or having a deck that doesn't mind and will play with the 3-card hand and be able to come back from that. So Cell is definitely something that you need to look out for. There's also a lot of decks that will utilize this leader, but will not be playing Perfect Cell, or maybe not be playing the whole chain. They'll just be playing the Cell's Birth to get Perfect Cell out. Instead of on 7, you'll be able to drop it down to 2 with the Cell's Birth. So it'll go all the way down to 5, and you'll be able to drop it on 5. And that's still very powerful. It's not something that's unrealistic, especially in today's meta where almost everyone's playing Objection. So, Objection makes this a little bit weaker as well. So that's why you see the rise in Objection a lot. because your hand size is just getting much smaller. So, yeah, it's just a fantastic leader. Like I said, you don't have to be playing the whole Cell package. You could just be playing an aggro deck. Like I've seen this in aggro decks with Gohan, for example, and Gotenks, because these cards both utilize you having low cards in hand. So if they sell you, or if you end up charging up your Cell to a point to really reduce the amount of cards in your hand, then these are fantastic cards that can really make you come back and threaten lethal damage to your opponent. So Cell, just in general, the leader is going to be definitely played. I predict that this leader will be about 40% of the field, just because it's so very powerful. And the other side I haven't even talked about, just charging a card and exchanging for any 2 cards, being one of the only leaders that does not have to attack to get that inherent plus. You can just charge 1 and then get 2 cards automatically. So you don't really have to invest into an attack. You can see what you have before you go into attack. It's just really fantastic. Enough about Cell, everybody really knows. Vegeta is something that you saw in the finals of ARG Hartford as well. It's still a very powerful leader, don't get me wrong. It does have its weakness against Cell because of all the cards that all the card advantage that you get off Vegeta, from taking it from your life. It's just something that's very powerful, and it's something that really puts you up on your opponent. So with all those cards, if they don't have a Cell, it's really hard to come back from this deck because they really just out advantage you. Now, they have very powerful blue cards, obviously, that's associated with this. You could also combine this with a red deck where, remember guys, you can use different leaders. Even though the leader is blue, there is different cards that you can use with a different leader. It doesn't have to be the standard Vegeta deck. It doesn't have to be the standard Cell deck. That's what makes this game, you can do anything. You can pretty much do anything you want. I mean, I've even seen Brawly mixed in with Cell. So, this is a fantastic leader, not to be mistaken. People are going to try to jam this, and you just got to be ready for it. It's critical is one hell of a mechanic. It's one of the best mechanics that we have in the game right now. And having a leader, access to a leader at all times, 24/7, that can utilize that could be very dangerous. So make sure you stay tuned for Vegeta at the regional. Now, this one right here in particular, Gotenks, one of the brand new leaders from the draft box. Now, this just came out last week, so remember, guys, we don't have too much data on how powerful this is. We don't know what type of things that this could accomplish. This has only been out for a week. You've only seen a few local tournaments, maybe some deck profiles on other decks. I know we uploaded a video with this deck, and we have yet to do a deck profile because we don't really want to spoil too many cool things that we've been trying out until after the regional. After the regional, we'll give you everything you guys want, but we want to make sure that our team is the most prepared and doesn't really have any any type of backlash on anything that we spoil. Maybe it's something that they hit gold on. But this is the other side of the Gotenks. Same thing, front and back. When it attacks a leader, if you have less cards than your opponent, they discard a card. So it's just like Broly in a sense. Broly does need the Broly's ring so that you don't discard and your opponent only discards. But on the flip side, Broly will be able to take out a battle card. This will not be able to take out a battle card. So pros and cons, because sometimes you would have to sack off your own battle cards to Broly. On here, you're not really getting any type of downside or any other thinking that you need to think about it. It's just linear, attack your opponent, and the draw trigger on the attack happens after they discard. So the auto for them to discard happens first, and then you draw your card on the flip side. So it's not as bad, but it's a very powerful leader, and it's something that you really want to look out for, because now you can use the Ghost Kamikaze, I think it's the Ghost Kamikaze tokens, or the 2 cost red card that makes 2 1,500 tokens, I believe, no combo cost. So really good. On turn 2, you can have 2 1,500 beaters and start beating your opponent's face in. So that's going to be a deck that definitely you want to look out for, because those are very powerful and very hard to deal with unless you have very limited answers. You got to have a Kale, you got to have cards like that. But very powerful leader. Make sure you guys look out for this. This is one of 2 very powerful draft leaders that you need to be prepared for. Number 1 being Frieza. I believe this will be the outstanding player at the event. I think I want to say at least 50% of the field will be playing this leader. Now, this is a fantastic leader. If you guys haven't been up to date yet, this is another draft leader exclusive to the draft box that just came out last week. So like I said, if you haven't seen it on the large competitive scene, That's because it really hasn't been released for any major tournaments up to this weekend. So Frieza on one side, you can use your life pretty much to reduce the cost of any extra event card in your hand by 1. So Cold Bloodlust equals 1 life if you prefer. Senzu Bean only requires 1 life if you prefer. Objection only requires 1 blue because it's a 2 mana it's a 2 energy card that requires 1 blue and 1 unspecified. So this would substitute the unspecified color and still make you have the blue enabled to activate the objection. So this is a fantastic card. You want to make sure that you're utilizing this card. On one side. On the other side, same exact thing, but instead of reducing it by 1, you're reducing it by 2, so objection becomes free. It's just 1 life, and you get the objection out. Now, this guy is really fantastic. He obviously draws on the other side as well, so he's going to be able to open up a large spectrum in decks. We've been testing 4 or 5 different decks with this leader, just because the flexibility. You can use different colors. You can use yellow, even though you're not yellow, just for the Cold Bloodlust. You can play cards like Bad Ring Laser and Crusher Ball and all these favorites. You can even play Senzu Bean if you're not blue, just untap too. So it's a really fantastic leader. Make sure you guys are on the lookout for this. If you guys don't know what this is, make sure you guys get up to speed on it. But this will be a big player this weekend. So if you see, encompass more than 50% of the top spots, don't be surprised, because this is the real deal. And this might be an issue in the future as more cards come out. But for now, it's just as, I want to say, it has a slight advantage over other leaders, but it hasn't become quite a problem just yet. Now, that's it for the leaders. I think those are the top 4 leaders that you really have to be up to date on, and that will be really wrecking havoc on the tournament this weekend. As far as like cards that are not leaders, things that you really need to look out for, there has been a lot of talk and buzz around Kale. Last event didn't see too much representation, didn't see too much play, but Kale's one of the new super rares from Union Force, and it's just very powerful because it can remove threats, multiple threats. Now you're going to be seeing a lot of more tokens with the Ghost Kamikaze 2 energy one that I was talking about. This is one of the only answers to it, and it's just a fantastic card. At 4 mana, you have a crit, a 20k body, which is extremely powerful and puts on a lot of pressure. It also gets you back cards. Like some of our friends here at Pro Play Games say, if they have more than 3 effects, then it's something definitely to respect and actually look at. So make sure if you play against any green decks to be aware that this card may be looming in their deck, and this is a card that you really want to take advantage of. This is a card that we fell in love with and jammed into a lot of decks. You also saw it in one of our Frieza deck profiles with the new Mecha Frieza. And it's just a very... it's a card that even if they call Bloodlust at the beginning, it's just putting pressure every turn, critical, and drawing you a card. So something that really needs to be dealt with on the spot. Now, Gotenks is another card that you're going to see in a lot of green decks. These are 2 of the top green cards that you're probably going to see in an unaffiliated deck. Obviously, in a Cell deck, you'll see Cell, and in a green deck, sometimes Broly. But Gotenks is a card that a lot of people are going to be splashing. Remember the Tricolor Ginyu deck. Same thing with Frieza. There's going to be tricolor Frieza all over the place, and Gotenks is just a fantastic card. Gives you back a card, untaps some mana. It's just what you want to be doing 100% of the time. Now, the next deck that I want to talk about is Ginyu. Ginyu has not gone away, guys. I mean, if anything, Ginyu probably just got stronger because now they have Frieza, and it's a yellow. It's still a yellow. Yellow leader. It could still utilize Cold Bloodlust. Now it can utilize Cold Bloodlust. Before it was just like play the Ginyu guy or play a less impactful leader. Now you're playing a very impactful leader, and then you still have the main deck that goes unchanged. So remember, you do still have access to Ginyu. Ginyu's going to be a very strong deck. Don't underestimate the power of putting a lot of pressure on your opponent, especially now with Frieza, when people are really trying to abuse this ability and trying to get their life down low so that they can awaken, activate all their extra deck extra cards, have a Cold Bloodlust up on this side. That's very dangerous. They go down to 2, 3, Champa in this deck. Champa in general is just going to be very powerful, and I think this is the deck that takes advantage of it the most. Remember, tournament packs, these tournament packs are going to be much more available to players, so that's something that didn't really happen on the first event. Like, people had very limited access to Tournament Pack 2, very limited access to Tournament Pack 1. Now you see the draft boxes. They come out with Tournament Pack 1 reprints. So you're going to have access to a lot of these cards that you needed to make these decks work, and now you're going to see them work. You're going to see them in action. You're going to see them out in full force because people have more access to it. So as supply creeps up, demand stays the same. Everybody wants, now they see the cards. Now they see that it's realistic for them to get these promos, and you're going to see a lot of new decks pop out. So remember, this also goes with the Gohan, the new Gohan from Tournament Pack 2. There's a lot of promos that have a big impact on decks that you didn't see before because there was limited access, limited card pool. Some people were hogging them. Now you see a lot more distribution as far as the player base, and you're getting all these tournament packs for entry for these regionals. So the second regional coming out, everybody's going to get their tournament packs just for entering. You've had like 2-3 more weeks of tournaments that you've been able to collect more tournament packs at. TCG Player obviously has been selling promos, so now it's easier than ever to get these promos. So anytime you have a deck that makes or breaks anytime you have a promo card that makes or breaks a deck, just like this does, like you can't play this deck without this, then that's something that you really have to keep in your mind, because you won't see it at the local level sometimes, but you'll see it at the premier competitive level. So that's it for Ginyu. As far as Red goes, there's a few cards that Red still has that's very powerful that people are forgetting about. Like it's Jiren, is Gohan, and we have Gotenks. These are the trio of fantastic red cards, not to mention Champa and Saiyan Kaba, but these are some of the heavy hitters that are going to be coming at you, and you need to be prepared for, because these guys just wreak havoc wherever they go. Jiren is essentially their Beerus, their energy boosted Beerus, the one that destroys any card. This is a removal for red. This is as good as it gets. This is going to be able to remove a threat and remove another threat. So this can remove 2 with no negate, 1 with 1 negate. Still a very powerful card, not to be forgotten for. Still at the 4 slot, just like energy boosted Beerus. But this is all red has going for them, and it's not that bad. It's also got double strike. So make sure you guys are prepared for that. Gohan, a lot of people have forgotten about. There wasn't too many in Top Cut before also. This is just going to be an overall powerful card. There's also a Buuhan deck, people like to call it. It's playing the Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu to put this under it, and then just, you bring out the other Majin Buu. It's like a 5-cost Majin Buu. You put this under it, it brings out the Grand Absorption from the deck, and then the Grand Absorption has the dual attack plus this effect. So you have a double striking, double striker that will take down a card and hit your opponent for 2 life. So if you guys haven't seen that deck, that's a very powerful deck too. But it utilizes this Gohan, so make sure you prepare for this Gohan or whatever goes on top of this Gohan, because if that Buu goes on top of that Gohan, then it's going to be the same exact thing, just a lot scarier. Then we have Gotenks. Gotenks, one of the premier red cards. You really need to be prepared for this card more than ever now, because you have the 2-cost card that makes 2 more ghost tokens. So now you play the 2-cost ghost token card, then maybe you play another one turn 4, then turn 5 this is coming out. Then you have 7 double striking 1500 tokens. That's pretty scary. So this is going to be even more real than ever now because you have access to that card. So Senzu Bean, sure, might save you a turn if you're lucky, but if you don't, you have to be ready to be prepared with cards like, that's why people are using Kale a lot more, because you can just get rid of all the tokens. You go Bean, you make them pass a turn, then you go Kale, blow up everything. So you really have to be worried for that. A few other green cards. Obviously Perfect Cell. There's not much to say. Like I said, you don't have to run the Cell package to see this coming. If you see a Cell's Birth anywhere, they're playing this card, whether it be the Cell package or just be this Cell. And then Broly. Broly's card that you've been seeing a lot more now. Shout out to Danny Hype. He was the one that pioneered this in Cell. So he plays a Cell leader with this. It really takes advantage of the hand. It also plays Cell's Absorption and the other Rampaging Life Form Bio Broly to discard 2 cards. Each one of those cards discard 2 cards from the hand. This one discards 2 at random, so arguably the best one. But you're going to see a lot more of this card in decks, even with Frieza. You're going to see this all over the place, so make sure you're prepared for that as well. Cold Bloodlust still doesn't really affect that card too much, because remember, instead of them discarding 2 cards, they're discarding 1. It's still effective because they're discarding arguably the best card in their hand in Cold Bloodlust, but it's not the best answer, but it's something. Then we have Beerus. Beerus is one of the premier blue cards that you're going to be seeing this weekend. Beerus is just a triple striker, and it makes your opponent discard 2. So, Cold Bloodlust does affect us sometimes, but it's just a card that just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. If they have 2 negates left in hand, they'll have to discard first and negate. So it's just very powerful, and it's something that can go for game. You can see a lot of mono blue decks. Danny, a lot of other people are jamming it. I might, be playing mono blue maybe, But Beerus is fantastic, and it's a very powerful card. And, it should not be underestimated or forgotten about. Now, that's pretty much it for the cards that you really want to look out for. As far as this weekend goes, remember this is the second regional. There's going to be coverage by Kitchen Table Meta and Kitchen Table Games, I believe. But it's going to be on Twitch, and it's going to be under the ARG Live Twitch channel. So if you guys want to tune in, we have a fantastic commentator in the form of Dustin, and we have a fantastic event in the form of ARG running it, and it's going to be live streamed for you guys, so you're going to be able to keep up with all the content and stuff. So you'll be able to see if my predictions are right, and you'll be able to hopefully see a lot of our players there, because we expect to be at the top tables, contending at the best of our ability and making sure that we bring back another championship trophy here to Pro Play Games. So thank you guys again for the follow, the support, and the like. Make sure you guys say hi at the event if I do see you there. I will be wearing the same exact apparel pretty much. Or say hi to our players. We really do want to meet more people in this community, and hopefully a lot of you guys are making the trek down here to Florida. Other than that, best of luck to everyone that's competing. We really hope that the best player wins, and we will be prepared, and we will be testing all night tonight. And then as soon as we get back, we'll flood you all with all the deck profiles, all the cool things that we were thinking about playing and we didn't play, and the cool things that we did play, and hopefully that championship deck profile. We'll see. But that's pretty much it for now. We're about to head out now from Florida. We're gonna, chill at the house today, test all day with all the players, and then get a good night's rest and see you tomorrow. But other than that, thank you guys so much. Have a great time. Good luck. Be safe this weekend, and we'll see you there.